On the surface, Peter Parker and Ava Ayala don't seem like the most obvious couple. Spider-Man, the everyman hero balancing rent, responsibility, and a double life. White Tiger, the fierce martial artist empowered by a mystical amulet with roots in ancient legend. But imagine if their paths crossed not just as allies, not just as teammates but as soulmates. Today we dive into an alternate Marvel universe where Peter Parker and Ava Ayala fall in love, get married, and build a life together. Would it be a story of balance, strength, and legacy? Or would their love be torn apart by destiny, danger, and the curse of the Tiger Amulet? Let's find out. 1. The beginning. Peter first met Ava Ayala during his time with the Young Heroes Initiative. Ava carried the mantle of the White Tiger, inheriting the mystical amulet from her late brother Hector. The amulet granted her enhanced speed, agility, and strength similar to Peter's spider powers, but with a mystical edge. At first, sparks flew in the form of rivalry. Ava saw Peter as reckless, cracking jokes when battles demanded discipline. Peter thought Ava was too serious, weighed down by tradition and the responsibility of her family's legacy. But slowly admiration grew. Peter saw Ava's loyalty and strength. Ava saw Peter's heart, his compassion, and the way he always chose responsibility over selfishness. What began as mutual respect blossomed into something deeper, two heroes who understood each other's burdens, and who carried the same scars of loss and legacy. 2. The wedding. Their wedding would be unlike any other Marvel union. Not a flashy Avengers gala. Not a cosmic spectacle. Instead, something intimate and meaningful. Peter would want Aunt May there, of course. Ava would honor her family by including traditions tied to the Tiger Amulet and her Latin heritage. A blending of worlds, Parker humor and Ayala mysticism. Imagine Luke Cage and Iron Fist standing proudly, Jessica Jones reluctantly in a dress, Miles Morales grinning ear to ear. A ceremony where Peter vows to protect not just Ava, but the legacy she carries. And Ava promises to help Peter carry the endless weight of responsibility he's borne alone for so long. For once, Peter Parker wouldn't feel alone in his vows. 3. Married life. So what would life look like for Spider-Man and White Tiger? On patrol, they'd be unstoppable. Spider reflexes and tiger instincts, a perfect dance between agility and precision. Criminals in New York wouldn't stand a chance against their tag team takedowns. But it's not just about fighting crime, it's about balance. Ava's discipline would ground Peter when he spirals into guilt. Peter's humor would soften Ava when she gets consumed by the amulet's demands. Of course, there would be struggles. Peter's double life has always strained his relationships. And Ava's amulet isn't just a gift, it's a curse. The amulet slowly bonds with its user, making it harder to separate identity from power. Would Peter's support help Ava stay in control, or would she risk losing herself to the spirit of the White Tiger? 4. The biggest challenges. The amulet's curse. The White Tiger amulet has a dark side. What if, over time, it began to control Ava more than she controlled it? What if Peter woke up one day and realized his wife wasn't Ava anymore, but the mystical tiger spirit itself? Rogues Gallery United. Peter's enemies are ruthless Green Goblin, Venom, Kingpin. Ava's enemies are mystical demons, cults, and hunters of the Tiger Amulet. Together, their marriage would paint a giant target on their backs. Imagine Norman Osborn teaming up with mystical forces to strike at the heart of the Parker Ayala family. Children of the Spider and the Tiger. If Peter and Ava had kids, they could inherit powers from both sides. Spider-like agility, tiger-like ferocity. But what if one child inherited the curse of the amulet? Would they embrace heroism or fall into darkness? 5. The dark possibilities. Every Marvel love story has its shadows. What if tragedy struck? What if Peter's worst fear came true, not his own death, but losing Ava? Imagine Ava sacrificing herself to destroy the amulet once and for all, leaving Peter to raise their children alone. Or worse, what if Ava lost herself to the tiger spirit, forcing Peter into an impossible choice: save his wife or save the world? Would Spider-Man, the eternal hero of responsibility, ever forgive himself if love became his greatest failure? 6. The brighter future. But let's not end in darkness. In another universe, Peter and Ava thrive. They become a legendary duo in New York, balancing street-level heroics with mystical missions. Together, they form a new kind of Avengers, one rooted not in cosmic wars, but in balance and legacy. Peter teaches their children science and responsibility. Ava teaches them tradition and discipline. For once, Spider-Man wouldn't be cursed with loneliness. He'd have a partner who truly shares his path. So what if Spider-Man married White Tiger? It would be a union of science and mysticism, of responsibility and legacy, of humor and discipline. A love story not built on fantasy, but on two heroes learning to balance each other's burdens. But as with all things in Marvel, love comes at a cost. And whether their story ends in triumph or tragedy depends on how tightly Peter and Ava can hold on to each other while the world tries to tear them apart. Because in the end, with great power, comes great responsibility.